Right, morning at 10 TV. It is. This is morning at 10 TV. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. And of course, we'll be able to engage on hashtag morning at NTV. My name is Malaki Vilodera, just in case you're joining us. And we're doing this with Romeo Busiku. Now we're getting into our political conversation this morning. And we've been asking, and of course, you've been seeing this in the past few days in the news, the Democratic Party president, Mr. Norbert Mao, of course, finally agreeing to allow FDC to take over the leadership of course, IPOD. And you know that they have been taking, according to the laws of IPOD, actually a political party or to take on leadership for just 6 months. So we're looking at this particular development whereby he has agreed to hand over, of course, the leadership of the IPOD to FDC. And so we're asking, the conversation this morning is with the DP, of course, asking what has changed and what is different now that they have agreed to hand over this particular mantle. So to have that conversation, I'm joined in studios by Dr. Gerald Siranda. He is the Secretary General of the Democratic Party. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much for
How have you
hosting
been?
me. We are fighting on for the Uganda we need.
You know, the big question that we are all receiving as journalists from the citizens of Uganda is what has changed? Because you know that the president of DP has been very articulate, not, you know, pro handing over to FDC. Of course, we all know with regards to the history of FDC vis-a-vis IPOD, they've been, you know, boycotting all these meetings, and he wasn't comfortable to hand over. So now he has handed over. What has changed?
I think we want to put it very clear that it's in the DNA of DP to hand over. It's only DP that has ever handed over power from Ben Kiwanuka without bloodshed to Uganda. The question of IPOD leadership was a question of the summit. Summit asked the incumbent leadership, who is Honorable Norbert Mao, and myself at Summit, at Council, to write to the colleagues of FDC, because dialogue is about, our MOU is a gentleman's agreement, and it can only move with a goodwill of give and take. So Summit asked us to do a letter to FDC for the commitment, given the history, which we did, and there's been no response. Actually, the person that has been keeping us in the office has been the FDC. But given the technical ability of Honorable Norbert Mao in dealing with matters of dialogue, and also IPOD is about dialogue, and we've been asking, if we cannot dialogue within ourselves, can we dialogue on a bigger issue, for instance, state power? And a lot of engagements have been happening. We needed commitment from FDC. FDC asked their national chairman, Honorable Bigwa, who has been engaging with the chairman of the IPOD. There has been an email commitment from the FDC chairperson. And you know, despite of the too much talking, radicalism of some FDC people, the spokespersons and the rest, you've seen that Honorable Amuriat, as the leader of the institution, has kept the decorum, and you've not seen him too much around this. So the engagements and commitment with his email about the IPOD leadership, we felt with several engagements that we support them to work. All right. All we needed was a commitment, and we see a bit of commitment.
A bit of commitment.
Yes.
And you know, there lies the question, because over the times, FDC has been boycotting the IPOD meetings for one critical reason. They're saying key on the agenda must be the handover of state power. So as you're dialoguing with them and you came to this agreement of handing over the leadership of IPOD to them, was that catered for?
No, and in IPOD, the agenda is agreed upon by consensus. We want to support them in the leadership. They should come to the council, propose the agenda before council, and council will prepare the agenda, which will be taken to summit. In IPOD, there is no grandstanding. There is no heady boy, and all of us are equal. We want to welcome our colleagues to offer leadership. This is the time for us to speak. The country is only looking at platforms like this for us to offer leadership. There are people who are in NRM, but they are Ugandans. And as you come to IPOD, you know that there is entity called NRM, there is FDC, there is JEMA, there is DP and UPC. So there is no way you come and say, this is what I want to see. Come and persuade the team. And I want to welcome them with an art of persuasion. And I believe that we will support them as a team. The Secretariat is ready to support them.
All right.
And we in Council, headed by Secretary Generals, I expect Honorable Nandala as a team leader, myself, Honorable Justin Kasule Lumumba, Honorable Fred Katerega, and a bill to sit and steer IPOD, agree to the agenda, the platform that we will move to the summit.
Let me ask you a question. What is the key goal of IPOD? And we all know this on paper. But what's the reality of the goal of IPOD, especially now in this particular space, whereby day in, day out, we're seeing police brutality against the opposition. Of course, the opposition being barred from holding any public gatherings, of course, in the name of the POMA Act and lack of compliance. So with that in mind, and still IPOD has been having meetings and nothing has been resolved in that regard. You people are still being, you know, brutalized, so to speak, and being stopped from your constitutional right of, you know, addressing the public. So how is that going to be sorted out?
You see, situations like this require real people. Situations like this require people that don't have fear. This is the time that we need to confront the enemy and speak with this enemy. First of all, to let them know that we have had countries like Kenya. You had Kanu. Moi was called Baba.
Right.
You know, basically God. Today, he struggles to have 3 senators in the House. See former Kwame Nkrumah's party. See the party of the former Bashir. They're all struggling. I think for us, what we're trying to do is to make sure that we don't give room. Even at the most dangerous time, Christ did not give space.
Right.
There is room for speaking, and I believe that we'll not fear to engage. This time requires leadership, and we're here to offer leadership. On Friday, the DP event in Endeavour, the DP reunion was blocked, even after going through every process. And when we speak about brutality, there is no party that has faced brutality in this country than the Democratic Party, but we continue to engage because we believe we know the best, but God has only asked us and given us an authority and time to lead, and we must offer leadership.
Right, and speaking of engagement, you know, the other time we saw the president vowing to be at the forefront of stopping this type of brutality against the opposition. So have you tried to engage him so far, to ask him on
now we've
why he hasn't stood to his word?
We've done a lot of engagement, and as you know, it was even very difficult to a bit of talk. I know a bit of this last month, there's been a lot of brutality, but you know that we've also been talking.
Right.
The FDC has been mobilizing, we've been mobilizing, but we know that there may be men and women within the police uniform that are being used either to undermine. I want to tell them that whatever they do does not only undermine the NRM, but all of us as Ugandan. You're on the plane, the next morning people are asking you is about how Uganda is terrible, about Amin. We have been fighting to clear that, and we do not want men and women in our uniform, paid by taxpayers, to undermine the process and the professionalizing of the police. We continue to engage. We believe that the POMA regulations are going to be signed. FDC now comes in at a time where we've been negotiating the regulations. It is their term, and we need to support them so that the POMA regulations that guide the interpretation of POMA are signed, are put into action, because everybody seems to be interpreting POMA within their own way, without guidelines. I asked a police officer in Ginger, do you know even POMA? Can you tell me what page, what act you're quoting within POMA? Which specific clause you're quoting? They have never seen it.
Right.
So we have a lot of role as political parties, but also with government. The office of the OPM, office for instance, we are engaging the minister because we want to engage the minister as a policy person. We do not want to be seen engaging the police or ranking officer, because we decided to go to engage in a civilian way.
Okay.
We want the civilian authority to take charge. So that is not the DPC, is not the IO.
Right.
And we believe that once these formal regulations are put in place, then we embark on sensitizing awareness so that people understand what they're talking about.
Right.
Today is very difficult. The law tells you right to the IGP. Even if you want to hold a meeting in Palisa, you want to hold a meeting in Busia or Kamuge or Kasodo, you have to write to the DPs, to the IGP. It's very difficult. And we cannot reduce the question of democracy and governance to issue of money in terms of moving. So we believe that the timing is very right, and we're going to do all we can as political players, not leave civil society or whatever to take charge of politics.
You know, you have been at the forefront of fighting for people's rights, and of late you've clearly seen, and I'm sure you interact with, you know, your supporters and the people of Uganda. Ugandans are somewhat or seemingly disgruntled. But the turn of events politically and a majority are actually wary. We saw the CSO report just the other day saying that if we don't put deterrent measures, then they foresee post-election violence. And the key perpetrators are the susceptible, of course, the vulnerable young people who are unemployed, and they can be easily swayed. Now, with that said, and of course the push that we've been seeing from the opposition parties, and with this particular dialogue, do you think IPOD will achieve anything tangible in terms of this deterrent measures and that critical conversation, now that a majority actually worried of the leadership of FDC for IPOD, FDC pushing for the change of power? What do you foresee in terms of a general culminative kind of agreement such that we don't see Uganda go back to the war times come 2021?
I think this time our country is sitting on a time bomb that requires collective responsibility. Our togetherness as IPOD, we in opposition, those in a regime, they have to understand that today there's no permanent status that you will be in power tomorrow. Even those that have been there even before the regime has changed, we know that God has changed.
But don't you think we failed at that? It's been 3 decades and counting.
No. Every day I keep going to church and they say, God will come tomorrow, waka waka with J, and that has not changed. And we have never given up. We will not give up on a country. God created us and gave us responsibility in this country. We're not tenants. What we need to be seen doing is a togetherness and discover things that we require as Uganda. For instance, our morals, our moral decay. For instance, our political system, our economy, our togetherness. Everybody has a role. What is the role of the church? People that have been sentenced, corrupt people, when they walk to church, they give them front seats, even without rebuking what they do.
Right.
The timing in Uganda calls for togetherness.
All right.
And every time we work together, it was me, Justin, Nandala, Ebil, and Katerega, we give hope to people that yes, we can be NRM, but we got the same water source, we got the same market.
All right.
The challenges of our children are all the same in our villages. They are all
the same. You know, you speak of togetherness, and of course my last question to you is, we've all seen this particular space, opposition. Just the other day you had a retreat, DP, of course the DP block in the Kalangala district. And key on the agenda was to see how the opposition will rally together and front one candidate come 2021. Are we still on course with that? And what will be the new strategy, of course, this time round, of course, after the failure of TDA in 2016?
Yeah, the difference is that we as a political parties, for instance, DP has taken an initiative, taken charge of designing what we call the Grand People's Coalition. This time is not NGO, is not foreigners, it's people that play politics. The most blockers of politics are politicians in this country. And we've proposed a grand coalition, not only at presidential, but we're also talking at parliamentary, we're talking at local government. We want the change. Even when we don't succeed in taking government in power, we want to go the code way, the ODM way, so that we have majority and we can force change.
All right.
I'm telling Ugandans, if we had only 30 members of parliament, Article 102B wouldn't have been changed.
Okay.
The parliament is very important and the community is very key. Which volume and which quality of parliamentarians do you send? Which quality of local council chairpersons and councillors do you send?
All right.
It is the role of Ugandans, and politics has a key role in changing leadership.
We're all watching this space and we're keen to see who you front this time round, and if the other aspirants actually do agree to support one
DP
of
will
their
be the
own.
final and last person to walk out of a grand coalition.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Gerald Siranda, of course, the Secretary General of the DP. Thank you so much for making time. All right, keep your views coming on #morning@NTV. What do you foresee, of course, as we count down to the 2021 general elections? #morning@NTV. Let's take this short commercial break and we'll be back with so much more.